We're with Frank Basa, President, CEO, and Chairman of Granada Gold. Thanks for being with us, Frank.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So Frank, tell us about Granada Gold. Where is the company located and where are your drilling programs?
The asset itself is actually located on a Cadillac trend next to the city of Rouyn-Noranda. The company itself is actually based out of British Columbia.
So tell us about your company's plan with Granada Property.
So what we have here is actually a very long structure. It's about 7 kilometers long. We did a fair amount of exploration. We drilled over 100,000 meters, and we came up with a fairly large resource. It's a combination of open pit underground. Our open pit resource is about 1 gram, 1.2. Our underground resource, which is mostly inferred, is about 4.5 grams a ton. So what we're looking for doing right now is to extend that resource. We only look, like I said, 2 kilometers it. We might have 7 kilometers of structure. What we're going to do is this year go to Okeko, which is a former mine as well. In the 30s, I produced, they took bulk samples out of there, about 300 tons at 5 to 7 ounces a ton. So we got our permits, so our intent is this spring to go in there, do some trenching, try to do about 6,000 meters of drilling, and see if we can find the extensions of those high-grade zones.
So I understand that Granada just received a $800,000 financing. What are your plans with the proceeds?
Well, we did a very small financing late last year. We took in about actually $700,000 flow through. We're just trying to close off another financing we're doing right now. It'll be all hard dollars at 25 cents. The intent is to actually carry on with our exploration program, specifically at the Okeko. Also, we have what we call the Genesis Zone, which is deep drilling. But I think we might also focus this year trying to get an FS and go to the next stage of our development of our property and go somewhere in 80,000 to 100,000 ounces a year, open pit on a pit constraint of pit design of about 800,000 ounces.
Now, how many ounces does Granada currently have?
We have about 5 million ounces. What we're doing is actually we're only looking going forward. We're looking for deep ounces, higher grade ounces. Most of the ounces in the 5 million is actually open pittable, low grade. We find that we have a better control over cash costs going underground, and also in terms of capital costs, the smaller mill requirements.
Great. So what does rolling start mean for Granada?
See, the rolling start initially was we're going to do a bulk sample of about 8 to 9 million tons. So the intent was to assess the grade of the deposit. Our deposit has a very large amount of native gold. It has about 42 to 70% native gold. And what we found is usually those things are very hard to define with a drill program. So the program we did what we call drilling for structure. Now we do a very large bulk sample to confirm those grades. Historically, the property, and even we did a bulk sample a few years ago, if you drill 1 gram, then you mine and mill it, you get 1.3. So we know that our resource will increase because of the native gold component. And the intent to do this was called a rolling start, which was about 9 million tons mined. Of that, 2 million tons we custom milled. We did get all the permits, but we couldn't find any mill in the area to take 2 million tons and able to mill 2 million tons in 3 years' time for us. So what we're looking at doing right now is actually building a mill on our sister property with our sister company, which will be able to handle the tonnage, and then from there the mill will stay on that company's property. And the company actually is called Castle Silver, which was actually part of Granada originally, and the mill will then stay there and they'll use it for their own production. It's a small mill. It'd be 600 tons a day. What we're looking for here at Granada, it might be closer to 6,000 tons a day.
Now, our investors are always interested in the faces behind a company. So can you tell us a little bit about Granada's management team?
The Granada management team is actually people who've been in the industry. I myself am a metallurgical engineer, and if you name a company that is in the gold industry or gold business, most people will know Agnico Eagle Mines. I worked for them. I also worked for Placer before it became Placer Dome. I did work for Newmont. Like I said, you name a company, more than likely I work for them. Majority of my people that are on the board are people that have been out in the field, been very successful either in drilling or mining. So they're hands-on people, old school people. They're very determined to achieve an objective, and they're very cautious and very careful.
So what can investors be expecting from Granada Gold in the next 6-month period?
I think we were looking something like a 12 to 18 month window. The next 6 months, more than likely, when we're discussing what we'll be doing, is basically try to do the exploration. I think we'll start with Okekwa first. It's a small program for us, only about 6,000 meters, and we want to see if those zones still exist. The intent was, after 6,000 meters, if we did find it, keep on drilling, and that's what we normally do. We do a small program, then we accelerate it. But then we'll also do the deep drilling. We want to make sure we get those inferred ounces into measured indicated, and hopefully, have the FS completed by year end.
Thank you so much for your time, Frank.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.